The sledgehammer crashes through concrete as Marcus tears down his own pool, reclaiming the backyard that cost him everything. But when Karen storms across the property line with 2 officers in tow, screaming about property destruction and neighborhood values, she has no idea she's about to face the one person who knows exactly what she did to destroy his family. And this time, Karen picked the wrong neighbor to mess with. The sledgehammer felt good in Marcus Chen's hands. Each swing sent vibrations up his arms, through his shoulders, and straight into his soul where 3 years of rage had been festering like an infected wound. Concrete chunks scattered across the pristine backyard as he demolished the pool that had once been his pride and joy. "Take that, you overpriced hole in the ground," he muttered, bringing the hammer down again. Sweat dripped from his forehead despite the October chill, mixing with something that might have been tears. If he'd allowed himself that luxury, the pool had cost him $43,000. The divorce had cost him everything else. Paused, wiping his face with his sleeve, and surveyed the destruction. What had once been a crystal-clear oasis with imported Italian tiles now looked like a war zone. Perfect. It matched how he felt inside. The sound of screeching tires made him look up. A silver BMW, Karen Morrison's silver BMW, came flying down Maple Street like a bat out of hell, nearly clipping Mrs. Peterson's mailbox before slamming to a stop in front of his house. Marcus gripped the sledgehammer tighter. "Right on schedule," Karen burst from her car like a woman possessed, her perfectly styled blonde hair whipping around her face as she marched across his front lawn, and an expression of righteous indignation that could have curdled milk. "Marcus Chen," she shrieked, her voice carrying across the entire neighborhood. Marcus set the sledgehammer down carefully, making sure the head rested against a particularly large chunk of concrete. He'd been waiting for this moment, planning for it. "Hey there, Karen," he said, his voice deceptively calm, "just doing a little home improvement. Nothing that concerns you. Nothing that concerns me." Karen's voice climbed several octaves. "You're destroying property that affects all of our home values. This is a covenant-controlled community, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let you turn this place into some kind of trailer park." Other neighbors had started to emerge from their houses, drawn by Karen's theatrical performance. Marcus saw Mrs. Peterson peeking through her curtains, Bob Williams stepping onto his porch with a coffee mug, and the new couple from the corner house, he couldn't remember their names, standing in their driveway with matching expressions of fascination and horror. Perfect. The more witnesses, the better. "Last I checked," Marcus said, stepping closer to the property line, "this is my house, my yard, my pool." Karen's face was turning an interesting shade of purple. "Not when it affects the rest of us. Do you have any idea what you've done to our property values?" Property values. If only she knew what she'd done to his property values 3 years ago. If only she had any idea of the chain reaction she'd set in motion with her meddling, her lies, her relentless campaign to destroy his marriage. "Well, Karen," he said, picking up the sledgehammer again, "I guess you'll just have to cope." He raised the hammer and brought it down on another section of the pool's edge. The crack echoed across the neighborhood like a gunshot. Karen's scream of outrage was even louder. "That's it," she shrieked, pulling out her phone. "There are ordinances, there are rules, there are laws." Marcus kept swinging. "Go ahead, call them," and she did. Right there, on his lawn, with half the neighborhood watching. Karen Morrison dialed 911 and reported a property destruction incident and disturbing the peace and probably some kind of mental breakdown. Marcus had to give her credit for the last one. She wasn't entirely wrong. 20 minutes later, 2 patrol cars pulled up to the curb. Marcus recognized Officer Janet Rodriguez from the community policing meetings back when he'd cared about community? Anything. The other cop was younger, probably fresh and out of the academy, with the kind of eager expression that suggested he was looking forward to his first real action. Karen practically sprinted to meet them, her arms windmilling as she launched into what Marcus mentally dubbed the performance. "Officers, thank God you're here. This man has completely lost his mind. He's destroying property, disturbing the peace, and creating a public nuisance. Look at this disaster. This used to be a beautiful neighborhood, and now it looks like a construction site. I demand you arrest him immediately." Officer Rodriguez looked tired. Marcus didn't blame her. Dealing with Karen Morrison would exhaust anyone. "Ma'am, I need you to calm down and explain the situation clearly," Rodriguez said, pulling out her notepad. "What exactly is the problem here?" "The problem is that he," Karen jabbed a finger at Marcus, "is destroying his pool and ruining our entire neighborhood. It's affecting all of our property values. He's breaking noise ordinances, he's probably violating building codes, and he's doing it just to spite all of us." Rodriguez turned to Marcus. "Sir, can you tell me what's going on here?" Marcus leaned against the sledgehammer like it was a walking stick. "I'm removing my pool. It's my property, and I'm having it taken out. I checked with the city, no permits required for removal, just for installation." "See," Karen shrieked. "He admits it. He's destroying property, his own property," Rodriguez said patiently. "MAAM. If this is his house and his pool, he's generally allowed to remove it. But the noise, the mess, the property values," the younger officer, his name tag, Reed Murphy, stepped forward. "Are you disposing of the debris properly?" Marcus nodded toward the rented dumpster in his driveway. Murphy looked disappointed. Clearly this wasn't the exciting police work he'd signed up for. Karen, however, was just getting started. "This is harassment," she declared. "Pure and simple harassment. He's doing this because he knows it bothers me. He's been targeting me for months. Ever since his wife left him, he's been taking it out on the whole neighborhood. And there it was, the opening Marcus had been waiting for. "Is that so?" he said quietly. "You want to talk about my wife leaving me?" Something in his tone made Karen take a step back. Officer Rodriguez looked up from her notepad, suddenly more alert. "You want to talk about harassment, Karen? About targeting people? About ruining lives?" Marcus's voice was still quiet, but it carried across the yard like a blade. "Because I have some things to say about that too." Karen's face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about, don't you?" Marcus reached into his back pocket and pulled out his phone. "Because I have some very interesting screenshots here. Some very interesting recordings. About the photos you doctored." Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "The officers were watching the exchange with growing interest. About how you told Linda I was having an affair with my secretary. About how you convinced her I was hiding money. About how you created fake social media accounts to send her anonymous messages about my supposed infidelity. That's," Karen stammered, but her voice lacked conviction. Marcus held up his phone. "I have receipts, Karen. Screenshots, IP addresses, digital forensics. My lawyer's been very busy since the divorce." The color drained from Karen's face completely. "You see," Marcus continued, his voice gaining strength, "when you destroy someone's life, they tend to get curious about why. And when they get curious, they start digging. And when they start digging, they find all sorts of interesting things." "Officer?" Rodriguez stepped forward. "That Karen Morrison here orchestrated a deliberate campaign to destroy my marriage. She created fake evidence, spread lies throughout the neighborhood, and used psychological manipulation to convince my wife that I was unfaithful. She did it because she was angry about a property line dispute we had 3 years ago. A dispute that I won, legally and fairly." Karen looked like she might faint. "You can't prove any of that." Marcus smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Actually, I can. In fact, I already have. My lawyer filed a civil suit against you yesterday morning. You should be getting served any time now." As if summoned by his words, another car pulled up to the curb. A woman in a business suit got out, carrying a manila envelope. "Karen Morrison," she called out. Karen didn't answer. She couldn't. She was too busy staring at Marcus like he was a ghost who'd just crawled out of her worst nightmare. Part 2. The UNR Violingia. The police station's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across the conference room where Marcus sat with his lawyer, David Kim, spreading documents across the scarred wooden table like a general planning a siege. Officer Rodriguez sat across from them, her recorder running, pen poised over a fresh incident report. "Let's start from the beginning," Rodriguez said. "When did you first become aware that Mrs. Morrison was targeting your marriage?" Marcus looked at the stack of printed emails, screenshots, and phone records. Just ... falling apart on its own. David Kim, a sharp-dressed attorney who specialized in harassment cases, pulled out a tablet. "My client's wife began receiving anonymous messages in March 2022. Text messages, emails, social media DMIs, all claiming that Marcus was having an affair. Rodriguez leaned forward. Anonymous? From who? That's what we thought, until I hired a digital forensics expert. Marcus pulled out a printed report. The messages came from multiple fake accounts, but they all traced back to the same IP address. Karen's home address. She used her own internet connection. Rodriguez looked skeptical. David nodded. People think they're clever when they create fake accounts, but they rarely bother with VPNs or proxy servers. Karen Morrison created 17 different fake social media profiles over the course of 18 months, all from her home computer. Marcus felt the familiar knot in his stomach as he remembered finding the evidence. Too little, too late. She was smart about it, though. She'd wait weeks between messages. She'd use different writing styles. She even created fake dating profiles using my photos. She took pictures from my LinkedIn and our neighborhood Facebook group, then created profiles on 3 different dating apps using my photos. When Linda got suspicious and searched for my name online, she found the profiles. Rodriguez whistled low. That's elaborate. That's not even the worst part, Marcus continued. She started having affairs delivered to our house. Affairs. David pulled out another folder. Flowers, lingerie, jewelry, all supposedly from Marcus's alleged mistresses. Karen would have them delivered when she knew Linda was home, but Marcus was at work. Marcus remembered Linda's face when he'd come home to find her holding a bouquet of red roses with a card that read, "Thanks for last night, sweetheart. Your secretary, Sandra." The problem was Sandra was 63 years old, happily married, for 40 years, and had never sent anyone flowers in her life. I explained that it was impossible, that Sandra was old enough to be my mother and wouldn't hurt a fly. But the doubt was already there. The flowers kept coming, David added. Different supposed mistresses, different messages, them. Marcus pulled out a credit card statement. One of the flower deliveries was paid for with a credit card that had been reported stolen 3 days earlier. The card belonged to Mrs. Peterson, Karen's next-door neighbor. She stole her neighbor's credit card. Mrs. Peterson had hired Karen to water her plants while she was visiting her daughter in Phoenix. Karen had access to her house, her mail, everything. Marcus felt the anger rising again. She stole the card, used it to send fake gifts to my wife, then threw it away. Mrs. Peterson never even knew it was missing until I showed her the transaction records. David spread out more documents. We have 17 instances of credit card fraud, identity theft, and harassment, each one designed to make it look like Marcus was having multiple affairs. The conference room door opened, and Officer Murphy stuck his head in. "Rodriguez, you need to see this." Rodriguez stepped outside for a moment, then returned with a grim expression. "We just got a call from dispatch. Karen Morrison is at the hospital." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "Is she okay?" "She's fine. She checked herself into the psychiatric ward about an hour ago. Voluntary commitment." David and Marcus exchanged glances. "That's convenient timing," David muttered. Rodriguez sat back down. Her lawyer called to says she won't be available for questioning indefinitely due to her mental health crisis. "Of course," Marcus said bitterly. "The moment she gets caught, suddenly she's too fragile to face the consequences. Mental health issues don't erase criminal behavior. Shows she knew what she was doing was wrong." Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his blood ran cold. Speaking of consequences, ... Linda's calling. He hadn't spoken to his ex-wife since the divorce was finalized 6 months ago. They'd communicated only through lawyers. "Take it," David said. "Put it on speaker if she agrees." Marcus answered the call. "Hello, Linda. Marcus." Her voice was tight, controlled, the same tone she'd used during their last fight. "I just got a very interesting phone call from Karen Morrison." "Did you now? She's in the hospital, Marcus. She says you've been harassing her, threatening her. She says you're trying to destroy her life over some imaginary conspiracy theory." "Linda, I'm actually at the police station right now, filing a report about Karen's harassment campaign against us, against our marriage." Silence on the other end of the line. "What are you talking about?" Linda's voice was smaller now, uncertain. "I'm talking about the fact that Karen Morrison spent 2 years systematically destroying our marriage with lies, fake evidence, and manufactured affairs. I'm talking about the fact that every piece of evidence you had about my supposed infidelity came from her." That's impossible." David leaned toward the phone. "Mrs. Chen, this is David Kim, Marcus's attorney. We have documented proof that Karen Morrison created fake social media accounts. Marcus, what's going on? Linda, Marcus said gently. Remember the roses that were supposedly from Sandra? Remember the lingerie that was supposedly from my coworker Jessica? Of course I remember. That's why I divorced you. They were all fake. Every single one. Karen made it all up. The silence stretched so long that Marcus thought the call had dropped. Linda, are you there? The roses were fake. Her voice was barely a whisper. Paid for with Mrs. Peterson's stolen credit card. We have the receipts, the messages sent. From Karen's computer, we have the IP logs. Rodriguez watched the phone like it might explode. The room was so quiet, Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. A sound came through the phone that Marcus hadn't heard in 3 years. Linda was crying. I divorced you, she whispered through the tears. I divorced you because I thought, I was so sure you were. Oh, God, Marcus, what did I do? Marcus closed his eyes. You believed what any reasonable person would believe when presented with that much evidence. Karen was very thorough. But I should have trusted you. I should have known you would never. Linda, she had photos, she had messages, she had gifts with cards. Linda's voice was breaking. Why would she do that to us? Marcus looked at the stack of evidence, thinking about the property line dispute that had started it all. 6 inches that had cost her $15,000 to fix and had wounded her. Pride beyond repair. Because she's sick, he said finally. Because she couldn't stand losing a property dispute, so she decided to destroy our lives instead. David pulled out another document. Mrs. Chen, we also have evidence that Karen Morrison has done this before, to at least 2 other couples in the neighborhood. The Patels on Elm Street separated last year. Both couples reported similar patterns of anonymous harassment and fake evidence of infidelity. Marcus felt sick. She's been doing this to other people. Rodriguez was taking notes furiously. We'll need to contact those families as well. Karen destroyed us. You were a victim to Linda. We both were. But I should have known. I should have trusted you. She's very good at what she does. She had me half convinced I was losing my mind. David cleared his throat. Mrs. Chen, we're building a comprehensive case against Karen Morrison. We'll need your testimony about the harassment you received. Of course, whatever you need. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. I know the divorce is final and we've both moved on, but maybe we can find some closure in this. Maybe we can finally get justice. Marcus. Linda's voice was steadier now. I need to ask you something, and The law firm of Brennan and Associates occupied the 18th floor of the Meridian Tower, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city that Linda Chen had once found inspiring. Now, as she stood pressed against the glass, watching the street below, every shadow looked like a threat. Mrs. Chen, we're ready to escort you out of the building. Linda turned from the window, her blue dress wrinkled from hours of anxious pacing. Are you sure it's safe? She said she was watching me. She knew what I was wearing. We've swept the building and surrounding area, no sign of surveillance equipment or suspicious individuals. Situation. Linda, maybe you should take some time off. Go stay with your sister in Portland until this blows over. I can't run away, Linda said, though her voice lacked conviction. I have clients depending on me. Another message, don't answer it, Martinez said quickly. We're monitoring all communications. But Linda had already looked at the screen. Pay the price. Starting with Max, Linda's face went white. While we figure out custody arrangements, Martinez was already on her radio. Dispatch, I need a unit too. She looked at Linda. What's the address? Sarah, it's Linda. Is Max okay? Is he with you? The voice on the other end was tense. Linda, I was just about to call you. Someone broke into my apartment about an hour ago. They didn't take anything, but they left. They left something. What kind of something? A photo of Max, with a note saying he was cute, and it would be a shame if something happened to him. Linda sank into a chair, the phone trembling in her hand. Where's Max now? He's safe. But Linda, I'm scared. Who would do something like this? It's a long story. Just keep Max safe and don't tell anyone where you are. Martinez was coordinating with multiple units now, her radio crackling with urgent communications. We've got officers en route to the sister's apartment. CSI is being called to process the scene. Linda's work phone rang. Rebecca answered it. listened for a moment, then hung up with a puzzled expression. That was Dr. Patterson's office. "I didn't call anyone," Linda said. Martinez looked up from her radio. "My therapist." "Pretending to be you, trying to map out your schedule and relationships?" Rebecca's phone rang next. Then Linda's personal cell. "Don't answer any of them," Martinez ordered. "This is a coordinated harassment campaign." Across town, Marcus was pacing the conference room at the police station like a caged animal. David Kim was on his third cup of coffee, surrounded by legal briefs and emergency motions, while Officer Rodriguez worked her phone contacts trying to track down Karen's network. "The hospital says she checked herself out an hour ago," Rodriguez reported, against medical advice. "They tried to keep her for observation, but voluntary commitment means she can leave whenever she wants." "What about the restraining order?" Marcus asked. "Served to an empty bed," David said grimly. "Her lawyer claims he doesn't know where she is." Marcus's phone rang. The caller ID showed Linda's number. "Linda, are you okay? We're leaving the office now." Linda's voice was strained. "Marcus," she broke into Sarah's apartment. She left a photo of Max with a threatening note. Marcus felt his world tilt. She's scared, but safe. Max is with her boyfriend. But Marcus, how does Karen know about Sarah? How does she know about Max? How does she know everything about our lives? Marcus looked at Rodriguez, who was listening to the conversation. "She knows our routines, our friends, our family." A target list. David was already drafting another motion. "We need to expand the restraining order to include all family members and associates. This is escalating beyond simple harassment." Rodriguez's radio crackled. "Unit 47 to base. We're at the Elm Street apartment. Break-in is confirmed. Perpetrator had a key or picked the lock professionally." "Professional?" Marcus asked. "Karen Morrison is a real estate agent," Rodriguez said. "To locksmithing tools, knows how to bypass basic security systems. She's also had 3 years to figure out how to get into places." Marcus's blood ran cold. "Rodriguez, what about my house? If she can get into Sarah's apartment, we've got a unit stationed outside your residence. But Mr. Chen, you might want to consider staying somewhere else tonight. I'm not running from her. This isn't about running. This is about not making yourself an easy target while we track her down." David looked up from his legal papers. "Marcus, from a liability standpoint, if you get hurt because you refused police protection, it could complicate our civil case. Fine, but I want to be involved in finding her. I want to help." Rodriguez hesitated. "That's not typically how we handle these situations. This isn't a typical situation. She knows me better than I know myself, how she thinks, and you think you understand how she thinks." Marcus pulled out his phone and showed her the stack of messages. "I've been studying her for a year. Every lie she told, every manipulation she used, every weakness she exploited. She's not random, she's methodical, and she has patterns." Rodriguez studied the messages. "What kind of patterns?" "She always escalates gradually. She's following the same playbook she used to destroy my marriage." Which means the threats against Linda and Max aren't the end game. They're just the next step. She's building toward something bigger. David's phone rang. Someone filed a motion to have Marcus declared mentally incompetent. Claims he's dangerous and needs to be involuntarily committed. "What?" Marcus jumped up. "Who filed it?" "The paperwork lists Karen Morrison as the petitioner. She's claiming you threatened her life, destroyed property in a fit of rage, and represent a danger to yourself and others." Rodriguez was already on her radio. "I need to speak to the watch commander immediately." Marcus felt the walls closing in. "She's trying to have me locked up while she goes after Linda and my family. Mental instability. Those are lies. All of it I know. A mental health evaluation. It's not an arrest, but it's not optional either." Marcus stared at her. "She's doing it. She's actually trying to have me committed." "It's a temporary hold," David said. 72 hours maximum. I can fight it, but not immediately. 72 hours while she's out there threatening Linda and my family." Mr. Chen Rodriguez said gently, "I know this is frustrating, but we have protocols to follow. The court order is legitimate, even if it's based on false information." Marcus's phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. "By the time you get out of the psychiatric ward, this will all be over. Your ex-wife, your sister, your dog, they'll be so far away you'll never find them." Marcus showed the message to Rodriguez. She's telling me she's going to kidnap them, or worse, that's a direct threat, and she's telling me she's going to hurt my family while I'm gone. Rodriguez looked torn. Mr. Chen, I understand your frustration, but Officer Rodriguez. David's voice was sharp. I need to speak with you privately. They stepped outside the conference room. Through the door, when they returned, Rodriguez looked grim. She bought a ticket to Portland. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Portland. That's where Linda's sister lives.